We can clap. It's an interesting thing to be called influential.
There was no movement in the streets to address women's issues.
We can clap.
Not because the points were salient and resonated.
Who fight every day just to be safe. I see you.
We have finally reached the pinnacle, the pinnacle of the collision.
We as women are seen as objects. The men speak for us. We don't have our own thoughts.
I, a woman, my voice couldn't fully count.
Oh. Okay.
This past year and the massive movements such as Me Too and Time's Up have been extremely empowering and validating.
I have so much admiration for you. You are my new hero. Oh my God. I'm so honored.
So Taylor Swift has been subpoenaed. Holy shit. Dude, it is amazing how serious this has gotten and how many celebrities have gotten pulled into the quicksand. And as I said in my last video, the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds quicksand, it will get you before you know it, and it will pull you under. And Taylor Swift, she has been so careful about her image. She is worth, her whole operation is worth in excess of $1 billion. She generates a GDP higher than a number of actual nation states. So careful about her image, her PR, everything in Taylor Swift world, hyper calculated. You don't make mistakes if you are in Taylor Swift world. And then this, through her association with Blake Lively, who talked her into ganging up on Justin Baldoni and trying to pressure him to do Blake's bidding. And perhaps, we're going to find this out if it's true or not, but perhaps Taylor Swift even got a composer for this movie, It Ends With Us, fired for some kind of beef or because Blake and Ryan didn't like him or whatever. But there is some dirt that is going to come out on Taylor Swift. And believe me, nobody wants to be deposed, but Taylor Swift really doesn't want to be deposed. I mean, it is a feat. Kudos to Brian Freeman. It is a feat to get someone of that status into a deposition chair. Just ask Brown Rudnick and Elon Musk. It is a feat. It is a feat. And so the fact that Taylor Swift, queen of the universe, who's reached the pinnacle of any possible career in Hollywood, right? Any career that anyone ever dreams of in the entertainment industry, Taylor Swift has eclipsed all dreams. She is arguably one of the most successful people in the entertainment industry, and she has come through it. Get this, Taylor Swift has come through that, has achieved that, I should say, while keeping her image squeaky clean. Isn't it astounding? Isn't it fascinating that Taylor Swift has achieved so much and has really never generated any real disdain? Yeah, some people up to this point have been kind of annoyed. I find her annoying, and yeah, it's not cute anymore to have someone who's in her mid-30s, approaching mid-30s, acting like she's, just out of high school. But there's really never been anything bad that anyone could say about Taylor Swift. And now it turns out, could this be her kryptonite? Her involvement in this whole shady thing that Blake Lively, her supposed best friend, has dragged her into? Man, oh man. So, people can continue to say that this whole Baldoni versus Lively thing is just superficial celebrity BS. And why are you spending your time talking about that and thinking about that? But look, whether you like this story or not, whether you're into it or not, it continues to get bigger. It continues to suck in more celebrities. Hugh Jackman, perhaps. I mean, it's interesting. Y'all know these shows are highly scripted, right? Like this Seth Meyers, Blake Lively appearance. You know that they decided beforehand what topics were going to be covered and in what order. That's how this works, and there's nothing nefarious about it. But look here. Has anybody noticed this? Of course, she and her team chose to preface her discussion of her Baldoni troubles and the bad 2 years that she's had and all that with a conversation about the joys and challenges of motherhood and her kids. And so it's interesting, I'm sure. And again, whatever, that's smart PR, but everything is super manipulative when it comes to Blake and what she's trying to do with her PR here, because she knew, of course she didn't want to, but she knew that she would have to, in this interview at least, briefly address this situation and put out yet another call to the world to have empathy for her suffering as a civil rights activist, someone who just wants to protect women and girls and their safety, right? She knew she was going to have to discuss all this. And so, of course, she prefaces it all with this nice conversation, heartwarming conversation about the joys and challenges of motherhood. It's very, very calculated. Get to the part where I want to look at this interview that she did, and just the part where, again, she's referencing her struggle. Blake Lively, it's like Mein Kampf. Her struggle, so hard. My struggle as a woman, just fighting for other women and girls. So insulting. Let's look at what she has to say.
And I see so many women around afraid to speak, and fear is by design.
All of these platitudes about fear. Lady, I don't think that you've known a moment of genuine fear in years. You all remember that in one of these conversations between Blake Lively and Baldoni, the voice memo that he left for her. But anyway, do you remember he says to her, Baldoni says to her,
oh, and there's one thing that I do need to say, which is, I am so sorry you have been through what you've been through with these other filmmakers and producers or whoever the people were that you worked with. It just me off. Those heads that, I'm just still kind of blown away that this is the industry that we're in and that you've experienced that as a woman.
This is a woman who everywhere she goes, she has this self-entitled paranoia, thinking that she's entitled to all of these rights and considerations on a film. She should just be able to jump around and take over whatever role she wants to on the film. Oh, I'll do the editing. I'll do the costume design, this and that. And if people don't cave to it, if they don't cave to her vision of it, then it's a toxic environment. That's exactly what happens. So she told Baldoni, that should have been his red flag right there, and maybe it was, but she told Baldoni that she had had these problems with all of these other sets that she had worked on, all of these other men. Give me a break. And so, of course, here she just goes into one of these, oh, women, we have to be so afraid platitudes. It is so deeply insulting. It is a huge slap in the face, as everyone has said. It is a huge slap in the face to real survivors of real abuse. And as I have said before on my show, as a student of history, as someone who is really interested in history, you want to read about what women historically have been through, sweetheart. You ain't been through any of that. Ain't been through any of it. But okay, let's see what other bullshit she's going to spew.
But I also acknowledge that many people don't have the opportunity to speak. So I do feel fortunate that I've been able to, in my belief and my fight for the world to be safe for women and girls. It's a pretty simple thing.
It's a pretty simple thing, guys. Come on. All right. I'm just saving the world here. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. She is just absolutely intolerable. Absolutely intolerable. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. And it's almost like watching a parody. It's almost like you're watching Blake Lively doing a parody of Blake Lively. I got ready so fast. I forgot my earrings just a moment. I can't do anything without my armor, you know. My earrings and my florals. But yeah, it's been a rough time. I've been having a rough time, as everyone knows, and it's been really, I can barely get out of bed, as you can see here. And but this huge honor, this broke me from my depression for a little while, the Justin Baldoni induced depression that I've been suffering under for months and months, well, like years now. And so it's huge. It's a huge honor. It made my day, made my week, made my my month. Thank you so much. Jesus, maybe it's her incestuous twin sister. Are you following that? Has Hollywood just, look, I think of myself as a very liberal, open-minded person when it comes to sexuality and so forth, but why are there so many incest plots that Hollywood is pushing on us lately? What the hell? It was totally out of nowhere on White Lotus, and they went absolutely nowhere with it. Did you notice that? It was completely unnecessary, completely superfluous, and it was there just to shock people. Oh, he's jerking his brother off. And then we've got this. So yes, I'm sorry to spoil it for people, but another simple favor. Apparently, the big reveal is that her character has a twin sister who assaults her. You don't see it on camera, or you see them kiss, or I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. Ridiculous. But anyway, I think what we can take from this is that it's going to be a long 11 months until we get to this trial. And I used to think that this was not going to end in a trial. I used to think that there was going to be a settlement because at some point Blake Lively was going to come to her senses or be forced to her senses. But I don't know. With this kind of entrenchment here and retrenchment, and the way that she is so unabashedly and unashamedly, brazenly taking on and proudly taking on the mantle of women's suffering and putting herself up as an exemplar of a kind of a feminist Joan of Arc who is clearing the way for other women and girls to be safe. Like, this is really, truly, it is truly disturbing. And I think that this shows us that this woman is now ensconced, and I assume Ryan Reynolds is too, ensconced in such a world of self-delusion as to think that anyone is going to buy this, or that I mean, this is like these kinds of declarations, what she's just said here, it's like a provocation to the universe karmically almost to teach you a lesson. I would be afraid to say shit like this, dude, because you put this stuff out there, and you proudly tell the world that you are emblematic of the highest courage one can have in facing the struggles, the deep struggles, the horrors that women throughout history have faced and are facing, and you hold up the example of that French woman Pellico, and you equate yourself to that. Like, it is a provocation to the universe, those kinds of declarations. And I don't know. I think Blake Lively, I think this thing's going to trial, and I think that she is going to get a lesson, just like Amber Heard got a lesson. And honestly, what's really wacky about this and about her Blake Lively's Time 100 speech is how similar they sound to other fake Me Too hoaxers, and they all just start sounding the same.
Please welcome Rebecca Ruiz, senior features writer at Mashable, in conversation with Amber Heard, actress, activist, and human rights champion of the United Nations Human Rights Office.
Everyone. What is your call to action for this moment in time, which is a very turbulent one?
This is the coolest thing to me, because you're asking me this question now in 2018. What month is it again? You're asking me this question now in 2018, which would be such a fundamentally different question a second ago, not 1 second, but a year ago, 10 years ago. I can't even imagine 70 years ago, before, when this was initially adopted. You're asking me a question about action now. And the cool part of that is you have never been more powerful. We have never been more powerful than we are right now. It's never been a better time to be alive. Yes, there are so many injustices in the world. There are so many things wrong. So far we have to come. But we are not only enjoying the fruits of so many years of intense work done by thinkers, our ancestors and humanity, to get us to a point we are now at, with unprecedented ability to do so from our hand, literally in your hand. I'm just pointing at the one phone I see, but in your hand is the power to change the world, and it's not hyperbole. It's evidence in the fact that look at how different the world was 2.5 years ago. There was no movement in the streets to address women's issues specifically. There was no one saying her story. What about her? There was no Me Too. There was no presence of that. There was no energy. It was a fundamentally different 2.5 years ago than it is today. Why? Not because activists, not because celebrities or activists or politicians or people in power stood up and made the change, or not because the points were salient and resonated. No, it's because now we have finally reached the pinnacle, the pinnacle of the collision between our awareness of our place in the world with technology and our unprecedented ability to be increasingly connected to an increasingly growing global community. We now have met that with our ability to do something with it. We are now burdened, but also driven by unprecedented levels of access to information, involvement, community, and power.
With all due respect, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes, fuck yes. Enough is enough. Time's up. Me too. Our lives matter.
The telling someone safe is the beginning of choosing yourself. I really think about it. If I hadn't had that, if I hadn't had a few people that I really trust around me, a few women, support, a few friends, if I hadn't had them around me, how different my life would be.
How do you respond to both his denial and his lawyer's denial?
Ranking Member Jackson Lee and distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me to testify today. My name is Evan Rachel Wood, and I'm an artist, but I am also a domestic violence and sexual assault survivor and the single mother of a young boy. When I was 5 years old, I started working in film, and every day since then, I worked to reach the very privileged place I'm aware that I occupy. And I'm here today to use my position as an artist, survivor, mother, and advocate to bring a human voice to the population of 25 million survivors in the U.S. who are currently experiencing inequality under the law and who desperately need basic civil rights. I struggle to speak to you today because I'm not sure what words are appropriate when discussing this issue. However, if you can't hear the whole truth, you will never know true empathy, and I believe in the saying, if we have to live through it, then you should have to hear it.
We as women are seen as objects. We don't have, it's as if the men speak for us. We don't have our own thoughts, feelings, morals. We live in a man's world, very much so. Okay.
This is after Rammstein. Do not meet your idols. F Rammstein. F them. I swear to God, Till Lindemann is a pedophile piece of shit.
You are my new hero. Oh my God. I'm so honored that you would share in this experience for everybody, and you will change the world and you will save lives from it. You really will. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you, Time, for having me here tonight to be an honoree amongst you all. It's a silent torch of womanhood that we come to know, a pact that privately we must show others how to survive, literally or spiritually. We don't let our daughters know, but one day we break their hearts by letting them in on the secret that we kept from them as they pranced around in princess dresses, that they are not and will likely never be safe at work, at home, in a parking lot, in a medical office, online, in any space they inhabit.